Good afternoon to everybody, and welcome to our February edition of Lunch Bunch. It's great to see you all today, and it's great to see new faces and see new names on our list. And it's always great to have more on the call. We love seeing new faces, and this is actually the start of our third year of virtual lunch bunches. So, you know, what once was a meeting at a table downtown Golden has evolved into this platform, and it is nice because we're able to have recordings made of these, and more people can participate, not just from Golden, but across the globe. But for those of you who don't know me, I'm Andy Flynn, class of 86 and 98, and Director of Alumni Engagement at Mines. If this is your first Lunch Bunch, welcome, and for those who are regular attendees, thank you for your continued interest and support, and welcome back. We're glad to have you with us today as we continue our monthly look at the people and programs that make Mines great. Today, we welcome a rock star, 3 Mines spring sports coaches. We have men's basketball coach Pryor Orser, we have swing coach Claire McDaniel, and baseball coach Robbie Bales. We have asked each coach to provide some background on their team and what we should look for in the coming months later this spring and maybe beyond. But welcome to all you coaches.
Thank you.
Before we start, I've got a few reminders. Any questions that you submitted with your RSVP have been shared with our speakers. And if you think of a question during the program, please feel free to use the chat. Ruth and I will keep an eye on it, and if we run out of time and don't get to your question, we'll circle back with you after the program. All of our Lunch Bunch programs are recorded and can be accessed on the Lunch Bunch page of the alumni website at weare.mines.edu. So if you missed one, want to listen again, or would like to share the program with a friend, visit this page to see the complete archive of recordings. After doing Lunch Bunch Live for nearly 3 years, we've collected a rich archive of programs for you to enjoy and share. And lastly, if you have ideas for future speakers or topics we want to know about them, just contact me or anyone in the alumni office with your suggestions. So with that, please join me in welcoming our coaches to Lunch Bunch. Take it away, Coach Orser.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me, Ruth and Andy. It's always good to be here. I think haven't done one of these in a while, a couple 3 years it seems like, but it's always good to be back and to connect. And so I'll jump right in, talk a little bit about my team. Right now, we're 20-4, and we have a really nice team. Unfortunately, our conference is as good as it's ever been. In my 22 years at Mines, we've never had 4 teams as good as we have, the teams that we played. We have 4 losses to 3 teams, and the 3 teams that we lost to, I think, have a combined record of like 62-7. And so, obviously I've been a little grumpy the last couple of days because we lost to Mesa, which we beat, back in December at their place, and they came to our place and played extraordinarily well. So, I'm on the RAC committee of the NCAA, so I think there are 4 teams in the RMAC that are locked for the NCAA tournament. And right now, Black Hills and Fort Lewis and Mesa are probably the 3 seeds. Last week we were the top 4 seeds, so the 4 teams were the highest ranked teams in the region in NCAA, which is unheard of. That's never happened before since I've been at Mines. So. But the good thing is that we do have a season. We have 4 regular season games left, 2 starting this weekend. Senior night on Saturday against Chadron State, who's also a very good team, very athletic. But we need to win some more games, and we need to get back on the winning side. And then the last 2 games of the season, we go to Adams State and Fort Lewis. And Fort Lewis has another excellent team, and they just beat the #1 team in the conference, Black Hills State, on Monday night at their place. So there's a lot of really, really important games left for us. So really proud of our team so far. Like our team, it's an excellent team, and I just want to highlight a couple of the guys on our team that if you've seen us play, we have 3 seniors, that have been in our program for 5 years, and they all have graduated in 4 years. Trent Dykema has a mechanical engineering degree. He graduated with honors. He's also getting his master's in engineering technology management, as well as Ben Boone, who has also graduated with honors last year in mechanical, and he's also getting his engineering technology management degree. And then Brendan Sullivan, who is a 2-time academic player of the year, which he got the academic player of the year in the conference again this year. And he's a civil engineering major and also graduated with honors. And all these guys graduated with around a 3.8 GPA. And he's also getting his master's as well. And then we have 2 transfer kids that came here that we recruited out of high school really hard. And one is a homegrown hometown hero, Adam Thistlewood, who played at Colorado State for 3 years, and he is getting his graduate degree in computer science. And so he's been an integral part of our success this year. And another kid that came from Stanford University, where he graduated in 3 years from Stanford with 2 degrees and a master's degree. And he is in 2 master's programs right now at Mines, the Energy Systems Master's Program, and he's also in the Humanitarian Engineering Program. And then Sam has also another year of eligibility. So that's kind of our team right now. We're doing well, but we've got some huge games ahead, and that's kind of where our team is. We had a really good recruiting year in the fall period. We signed 3 kids in the fall, 1 from Florida, another from California, and then we signed the leading scorer in Colorado at the 6A level currently, in Silas McGurnan. He's averaging 26 a game, and outstanding student. He's also, I think he has around 95 threes for the year so far in the 6A level from Poudre High School. So we're really excited about those 3, but we're also really recruiting hard right now, and we really need to sign some more guys because we're losing some very talented players. And so I think we're in good shape to sign some more outstanding students and outstanding people. So I know some of you guys on here. I know George, know Roger, I know some of you guys. Rod, obviously a big supporter of us. Thank you guys. And yeah, so any questions you got for me?
I sent one in the chat, but I'll prior. This is George.
Yeah, George.
So, you obviously want to take care of your own business, your own knitting for the balance of the schedule, to position yourself for the RMAC tournament. It's probably not likely, I don't think, that you're going to have your home slate after the RMAC tournament. But if you had your dithers, who would you want to be on the other side of the bracket? Black Hills or Fort Lewis?
Well, so we beat Mesa, but obviously it makes you nervous because how Mesa played the other night, where they make 14 out of 23 threes, and they have, really good talent, and they're very good defensively. And then you play Fort Lewis. I think Fort Lewis has the most variance because they sometimes play down to the teams that they won close games against teams that are not great, but then they also have the potential to play just amazing basketball because they have really good athletes that can play up. And it's a little bit difficult for us to go up to those athletes, and they have a great player in Cott, but Black Hills also has what I call a generational Division II player in Scott. He's a mid-major Division I player. No one can guard him. If you try to guard him with a small, he'll take you inside. He's a great passer if you double him all night long, and then they surround him with such great players and great shooters. So, I think any one of them is a huge, huge challenge for us. But I think the team that I would probably prefer to play the most would be Fort Lewis. Because you're hoping, because they shoot a lot of perimeter shots, they do a lot of one-on-one, and if they make them, you're probably going to lose. But if you don't, you have a chance to win that game.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
Yeah, thanks.
I might take a minute to mention that, can you guys all hear me? Here we go. Let me start my video again. Oh, okay, there it is. Okay, I'm alive and well. I might just mention to everybody on the screen who lives locally that this Saturday, we're doing an alumni evening, day, whatever, at the basketball games. It's the last home games of the season. Women play at 3:30, men at 6 o'clock. Prior, correct me if I'm wrong. But we've invited all alums to come out. You can purchase your game ticket at the door on the way in, and then we'll provide a nice buffet from 4 to 7. So bring your kids or just come and enjoy one or both games with a pretty nice buffet, complimentary in the middle of the games, in between. So anyway, if you would like information about that, it's on our website. I will put that in the chat so you can see it. But anyway, if you haven't signed up, we hope that you will join us. Thanks. Any more questions for Coach or Sir? We'll have time at the very end of the program for more Q&A as we wrap up. But thank you very much. That was great. And let's move along and let's hear from Claire McDaniel, swim coach. Hi, Claire.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Gary. Gary's one of our alumni. We've been in touch quite a bit, so I'm really happy to see you, Gary. Everyone else on this Zoom, I'm going to make a small assumption that your knowledge of swimming may not be the same as Gary's. But if you hear a loud boom during my talk, while my wall looks very pretty, the office here is directly underneath the weight room. And sometimes there's heavy lifting. At any moment, there could be a really loud boom and like dust. So that's the con, but there's a lot of other pros. So just be forewarned because it can be startling for everyone. But I thought I'd start with like something funny. One of the swimmers got me this for Christmas as a joke. It says, swim coach, paid to yell at people for breathing. It's pretty funny because in swimming, when you breathe, it slows you down. And so there you have it. That's not the only thing I do though. So this is my 4th season at Mines, which is really pretty special to think about all the things we've been able to accomplish in 4 years, despite a pandemic and some other speed bumps along the way. But our team has broken, of the 23 women's team records, program records, they've broken 21 of them. And they are really close to the 2 that they haven't. I think those are going to happen at NCAA's, which we leave for in about 2.5 weeks. And the men have broken 17 of 23 program records. So my goal was as quickly as possible to rewrite the team record since I've started. So anyway, really pleased to be here. And I thought I would just kind of go over like the swimming schedule. We race from October to March. So we've been racing for many months now, and we're coming up on our NCAA championships. Our regular season just ended on Saturday at our RMAC championships, and our team did really well. Unlike other sports, much like track and field, we are very individual performance based. And so during the regular season, I like our team to swim against Air Force, the University of Denver, Wyoming, all D1 institutions, because I like our team to have that higher level competition. And they're not like top D1, they're more like mid-level D1. So we can beat them eventually, but I like our team exposed to faster racing. And I have no expectations of winning those meets, just wanting to provide an opportunity for racing. So the win-loss record of the dual meets is something I do not care about as a coach. I care about the process goals that we're working on through the season to learn for the times when we taper, like the RMAC championship, the NCAA championship. And we'll also taper in November for a meet so that they have a couple opportunities to go those best times. And that's when our swimmers will wear like the suits that you see the Olympians wear that go like to the knees. Those are called tech suits. They're quite expensive, so we don't wear those at every meet. That is our largest budget item. But during the regular meets, they'll just wear the regular dual meet suits, and we don't expect their times to be anything that special, although within the realm, there can be some special swims there. So again, our focus is RMAC and NCAA's, and for the first 3 years at RMAC, our men's and women's teams got second, which was really awesome. This year, we've added a whole nother team, University of Texas Permian Basin, which is great because our men's swimming program was actually on probation because there weren't enough men's teams in the conference, but that's changing. There's a big shift. Colorado Mesa right now is second in the country, and I think that they could win. Both the women's and the men's team are ranked second. And I really do think that their teams have a chance of, well, they'll definitely be top 3. If they won't, something happen. So in my mind, getting second to them is like winning RMAC right now. So very proud of that. This year, our men were 3rd to Mesa and Oklahoma Christian. Oklahoma Christian is expected to be top 10 at NCAA. But mine is expected to be top 15 in my book. My first year at NCAA's, we had a large group go, and the pandemic, we were literally driving to finals. And Mia Wood was one of our seniors that year, and she had swum the morning prelims and was seated first by a large margin. So large, in fact, that I was like, well, I'm going to be giving her award for her national championship. And I was just making sure I was looking good. And we're like getting in the van to go drive to the pool. We get a phone call. You got to go home. Pandemic. And it was the most devastating thing. My first year at Mines, I think I'm still processing that. It was really, really traumatic. And her uncle like made the trophies out of wood in his woodworking shop, which was really sweet. But she really was robbed of 2 national championships that year. So rebuilding from that, the following year, we took 3 people to NCAA. Last year, we took 7, and this year we're taking 18. So like, and that's what we hope to continue. And it's really, really quite fun. And the more people you have going to the NCAA championship, the more points you potentially could be scoring. You can take 18 women and 18 men. So ideally, in my mind, we want to have a roster that's like 20 to 22 women and 20 to 22 men. So we can really have focused training, and it's not like it's kind of a lot of people to manage sometimes. But we do it. And in this time, since we've had this, like, a lot of people are like, well, why do you think you've increased so drastically? One, recruiting. That was not done before. And with what time I have, I do recruit. I came from, my whole background is in Division I swimming. I don't know, maybe quickly go through it, but I swam for the University of Georgia. We were national champions. I was a national champion. I swam for the United States on the U.S. national team. I was the captain of that team. In a non-Olympic year, I'm not an Olympian, but it's similarly awesome, I think. And then I coached at some small D1 institutions, UNC Asheville. I have my master's in nutrition, so I did sports nutrition at Stanford with the gymnastics team. I was the associate AD, director of performance nutrition at Mizzou, so I worked with their football teams. And then I've also coached at the University of Denver. So I've flip-flopped between like sports nutrition and swim coaching throughout my realm. And here I get to do a little bit of both, which I really love. So with that background, I've brought all of my skills to Mines and really love the Division II approach, which is life in the balance. I love that the Mines swimmers, because swimming is a rigorous sport. We have practice at 6 a.m., we have practice at 4 p.m. So only 3 days a week like that. The other days they get to sleep in. But it's pretty rigorous, and that's across the board kind of what you need, because if you think about it, you spend your whole life like standing upright in the air, and you have to be horizontal in the water. And like, you have to really practice that quite a bit. You just need to be in there, in that medium to get better at it. And I'm trying to recruit kids who have already spent a lot of time in the water, so when they get here, they don't have to. So I think that's been part of our success. But also, I've really made a big push reconnecting with our alumni. So Gary on the call actually came and spoke to our team. And he actually, I forgot to do this. He actually gave me this shirt from back in the day. Anyway, so we love to have alumni come and interact with our team and tell stories about the old pool and how good they have it now. And the alumni have also helped us fundraise for new starting blocks. And that's been a huge change, because as a swimmer who retired many years ago, I'm like, they're like cheating now, because on the starting block, they have this fin so they can put their foot on it and push off. I'm like, we didn't have that. No wonder they're going faster. But we have those blocks because that's what's being used. And if we don't have them, they can't practice that. So that's helped us tremendously. So thank you to all the donors for those blocks. And then we've also fundraised for some logoing on the pool deck. So if you walked onto our pool, you wouldn't immediately know like, oh, a college program uses this pool. It just looked like the pool in the rec center. And so like you see here on the wall, we have this type of thing in their locker rooms now on the pool deck. And also on the pool deck, we have a list of national champions, All-Americans, the team, RMAC championships. And this year was the 100-year anniversary of men's swimming at Mines. And we honored the 1983 women's RMAC championship team, and then the 1981, 2, 3, and 4 RMAC championship men's teams, because that era in mine swimming was remarkable. And so meeting all those alumni and honoring them this year was really special. But that alumni group is really, really close knit. And they've also helped us fundraise for power racks. So swimming is a very power-based sport. The 50 free takes 19 seconds. In fact, in some D1 meets that are going on right now, somebody went under 18 seconds. They went 17 seconds to go back and forth in the pool. And that is unbelievable. It's unbelievable how fast they're going. And so all these tools and new modalities and training really are helping our team like go from 7 people at NCAA's to 18. And so we're just incredibly grateful for the alumni support, not only financially, but also the involvement. We've had a mentor program that Andy Flynn actually helped me, like they had, the Alumni Association already had like a software in place. And so he taught me how to use it. And then I implemented it and connected our current swimmers with alumni mentors in swimming. And it was so wonderful. We have so many good stories from that time. And then we've done some Zoom reunions with our alumni as well. So we really enjoy getting to know them. And I haven't met a swimmer that isn't goofy and funny. And so it's a really, really chill group, right? Swimmers are great people. And I guess just lastly to highlight, at RMAC this year, we swept the Summit Award, and the Summit Award is for the highest GPA. So we had the women's and the men's Summit Award winners on our team, which is quite remarkable because their majors are not what the other team's majors are. And then our women's team GPA was a 3.46, and the men's team was a 3.47, and they were 5th in the country for swimming teams. They were the 5th highest men's GPA for swim teams in the country. And I just think that's so remarkable to be able to do that along with the training that we're doing at the level that we're doing it. So yeah, I'm a high energy, excited to be here. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
I do see a question in the chat from Roger. Roger's asking, did you do nutrition for gymnastics?
Yeah.
At Stanford.
Women's
Roger, you have a
gymnastics.
connection to Stanford. You went to Stanford. Roger, turn your camera on. We'd love to see your face.
Yeah, that's right. And my wife was the gymnastics coach at Robley. Yeah.
Cool.
Oh,
That's
wow.
so cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was,
it's pretty cool. Yeah.
it was really neat learning about another sport so intimately because I traveled with them. I did all their planning of meals on the road. They let me do like a motivational speech one time. But it was really fun to really get to know another sport so well. And I think my perspective of working with all the sports and other sports has really helped me with my position right now.
So is the nutrition for swimmers the same for gymnasts?
No, actually, it's quite different because swimmers are like going constantly. They need a lot more carbohydrates. So there's a little different ratio for gymnasts and swimmers. Yeah, but it's getting more individualized no matter who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I see
thanks for
a
that.
note in here from Sabina. Sabina, do you want to turn your microphone on and maybe share your comment? Or her microphone's not quite working, but can you all see her comment in the chat that Sabina Bruschi is a 94 alumna from Mines and serves on our alumni board and lives in Bellingham, Washington. Longtime gymnast myself, nutrition has improved so much in sports. And I'm sure Pryor and Robbie could probably say the same thing, right? There's always a plan and a process to that that is customized and taken very seriously for all of our athletes, not just here, but everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's the approach. I think in gymnastics in general, I think coaches were learning how to communicate better with our athletes. And so way back in the day, I had coaches that were like, so swimmers, you need to be more like a canoe, less like a tugboat. You know, they would say those things to the swimmers, and it's funny, but it would like cause problems. And so, you know, one of the things I love at Mines is like they're very intelligent swimmers. I do not have a background. All of my schooling is in nutrition, so there was some organic chemistry, but not what is done at Mines. And so I love working with these athletes because they're so intelligent and so thoughtful. And so a lot of times what I'm doing is trying to help them be kind to themselves. And that's something that also shows up in nutrition as well.
Sabina has another comment that I'll just read aloud, if that's okay, Sabina, since your microphone's not quite working. Do we have any gymnastics type offering at Mines? Back in the 90s, we used to borrow mats to tumble in the gym.
Cool.
Does anybody want to comment on that? I don't know the answer. Anybody? Claire, do you know? I don't know.
So I know that actually this is kind of a neat connection, but in the old pool in Volk, they've turned half of it into something for wrestling. I think wrestling's like training area or locker room. And then the other half has mats in it in the old part of the pool for the dance team to do their tumbling. So kind of.
Okay, but we don't have a program for gymnastics.
No.
But I guess if there was a club team or a club group that wanted to get together, they could go down to the Volk old pool and use the mats there, I suppose.
Exactly.
Before we move on to Robbie Bales and talking about baseball, I just had one quick question for Claire, and maybe you can explain a little bit since we have so many alums on the call. But can you talk a little bit about what you do at homecoming when you invite alumni to come back and swim against the current swim team and the meet and what that's all about? It's
yeah,
really
this is a tradition that had been at Mines before I started, but something that if it wasn't there, I definitely wanted to do. So I've only grown it. And every homecoming Saturday morning, we have an alumni meet. And our current team put on one color of cap, and the alumni get alumni caps. And they race against each other in the 50 of each stroke, so 50 fly, 50 back, 50 breast, 50 free. And sometimes we do the 100 IM and then a relay. And alumni can sign up for all or just one or two events, and we score it like a meet. It's like our team versus the alumni team, but the alumni can handicap our swimmers by paying money. So they can pay a certain amount of money to put drag socks. I should have gotten an example, but it's like these mesh bags on your feet. So when you kick, it's really hard. They could pay even more money to put a full team sweat outfit on the swimmers or both. And it got carried away this year. We even had people paying money to put parachutes, because you strap a parachute to your waist and have it drag behind you. So we had one swimmer who's going to NCAA's this year in the 400 IM do a 100 IM with a full sweatsuit, drag socks on his feet, drag socks on his hands, a parachute, and they wanted to put a weight belt on him. And I said, no, that's going to hurt him. And he did it. He was last.
oh my gosh.
But it's really fun. It's family friendly. Everybody brings their whole family, and we're kind of outgrowing the pool with how many people have shown up. We had over 70 alumni show up, and I do an alumni newsletter for the swimming alumni and keep them in the loop. And it's a great group.
That is so fun. That is super fun. I see a note. Prior, do you want to share your question?
Oh, yes, actually, Prior. We did have the first year we did it. So it's actually kind of cool. The recent grads, as soon as they're done swimming, so like the ones who are not going to NCAAs who just finished the RMAC championship, they're done right now, but they're training for the alumni meet in October already. Because my first year we had an alumni come and actually break the pool record and beat everyone. He won the 50 breaststroke. And so it's kind of a big deal. So there's high attendance with that the class that just graduated. And it's very competitive. But the 50s in swimming, a 50, you can get away with training less. When it goes beyond that, if you're not training quite a bit, the performance decreases significantly. But you could cheat a 50. Yeah.
So
Just
fun.
one
That is
comment.
so fun.
I think one of the things that's unique about our swimming area is the hot tub is in the shape of the Mines Triangle. And that would be the only one like that in the entire country.
Rod, I'm glad you brought that up. Every recruit, when we bring them into the pool, first they say, wow, it's so beautiful. And I say, yes, it is. It's the only indoor pool I'll coach. And then they say, this hot tub, look at it. And our team does, like, after meets, we'll do a little chit chat where they say nice things about everybody. And we do that in the hot tub. So that's a very special thing that the team gets to use. It's not a daily.
Aw,
Yeah.
love that. Love that. So exciting. Okay, are there any other questions or comments for Claire before we move on to hear about baseball? I love your hat. Yay!
Supporting everybody else.
You're awesome. Okay, well, with that, we will move on and welcome Robbie Bales. Let's hear about what's happening on the baseball field.
Yeah, what a great hat, Claire. And Ruth, what a great session putting this thing together. This is my first time participating in it, and it's obviously beneficial, and I think that it's really good for our alumni and different patrons to see just how passionate Claire and Pryor are about their programs, and just how fortunate I am to be able to bounce ideas off of those folks at any time that I can. So in terms of baseball, we're just getting off the ground. Last week we were at Cal Poly Pomona. I got to see and meet Rod McNeil there for the first time. He was the only guy in his group wearing the Mines equipment and repping us. But it was really good to see him fighting with his family members and see the turnout that we had. I think we had about 26 of our parents that made the trip, and so obviously. Our families are very passionate about what we're doing here at Mines too. And so, we didn't get the results we necessarily wanted, but I think Rod will attest to the amount of determination and the fight that our kids showed. We lost the first 3 games of the series by 1 run, and with one of the game being in extra innings. And then we finally blew up and took care of business the last game of the series. Cal Poly Pomona is now ranked 11th in the country. And so, the way that our guys fought was really impressive, and we're excited to get back after it again this weekend. We leave for a flight for Los Angeles here in a couple hours. We're at Cal State LA this weekend, and should be a winnable series for us. Guys are fighting hard and getting after it. So I got to piggyback off of Coach Orser. He brought up just how competitive the conference has become. This is my 8th season here, 5th as the head coach. And, it's been really fun to watch the ability of not only our program grow, but, the conference in general. And I think, both coaches made reference to COVID having something to do with that. And, that was a big challenge on our plate during that time. And we come out with flying colors, and, it was difficult, and Claire mentioned we were in the middle of our season. We had just lost a really tough game at the Houston Invitational to the #1 ranked team in the country, Central Missouri. And then we went down to New Mexico Highlands and swept those guys, and the world ended, and we couldn't give our kids hugs and our seniors hugs and tell them what was going on. And, the thing that was really, difficult about being at Mines is, you're all Americans. They don't come back for the extra year like a lot of the other kids do if they have, a good engineering job waiting for them. So we had to play catch up and rebuild a little bit. But I was really proud of the way our program did so. Right. You figure when COVID hit, we lost 2 guys to professional baseball, and in your big Division I programs, they're able to bounce back from that a little bit quicker than we are. But Trevor Case signed the 39th round pick with the Baltimore Orioles, and then Walter Pennington, a left-handed pitcher, signed with the Kansas City Royals, and he was invited to winter ball this year and is moving quickly. We may see him break into the big leagues this season, and if he doesn't, it's great that these guys have such a great education to fall back on, right? But again, we went from 2018 was our, my last year as the assistant coach was our first appearance in the NCAA tournament, right? And then, it's just kind of like Claire said, it's just been going this way since then. And 2019 was the best year in program history. We were 40-15 that year, and 8 of our losses were to the number 1 ranked team in the country. And you got that blue blood Division II baseball program that is Colorado Mesa that we need to kind of kick their door in a little bit, but we're getting a little bit closer every day. And this group is reassuring. I think we have a big weekend on hand for us, and really looking forward to going to battle a little bit further with this group. We have 6 seniors in this class. Some of them have kind of chose to stick around and get that extra year. And then, the thing that's really exciting about it for us is that we returned 2 All-Americans hitting in the 3 and 4 hole for us. The last 3 semesters, we've been right around a 3.5 team GPA, which is really impressive as well. And, just shows and is a testament to how hard our student athletes work around here. And I was telling Rod in the parking lot at Cal Poly Pomona last weekend, just how fortunate and I am to get to work with these type of kids, right? Like, I coached junior college in the past, and those guys were a little more staff intensive and need a little bit. And I love them all the same, but it's really good to, be in a hotel and not have to worry about what kind of activities your kids are into, that they're deep into their studies. And, so it's really good to be part of that. Coach Orser also mentioned the transfer portal. We're having some success in the transfer portal. Our top 2 hitters right now are brothers. The Nielsen brothers. Garrett transferred in this year from Cal Berkeley, and his little brother transferred in from San Jose State. And so, it's again, while everybody else is getting better and they can go out and they can recruit whoever they want, it's nice that we can get in the portal and have a little bit more of an intimate relationship with the kids we're recruiting, and they fit in with our nerds here just the same as they do at Cal Berkeley, I'm sure. So, I'll share with you one of the things that we recruit our guys off of we got a kid in from Houston last week, 94 miles an hour. He had offers between Houston and Rice, and he chose Mines. And one of the lines we used to get him was the old Dave Zanatel line he gave me when I was taken over as the head coach here. And we were at the Houston Invitational, and he shared with me that in 1 month, a different Mines grad, one saved the miners in Peru, one cleaned up the BP oil spill, and one built the biggest bridge in the Western Hemisphere. And, so yeah, I'm always dumbfounded by what our guys go do after this. But I'm even more dumbfounded when they come back and they have that look on their face that how much they really miss being a part of a sports team, because now they're, answering to somebody, and, they're not always the smartest one at the table. But, it's again, I'm taken back every time I get to work with our guys. So Claire also mentioned her homecoming event. I think ours is pretty cool as well. We always do a golf tournament Friday, morning when they get in, and then Friday afternoon, we all work our way back over to Jim Darden Field, and we let our alumni see if they still got it, and we let their kids run around the field and, get a bump and jump for them. And the alumni get to do a little batting practice, home run derby type of thing, and see if they still got it. And then we encourage them to go to the football game on Saturday, and we get together after the football game, and hopefully they're intoxicated enough that we can to play an alumni game and kick their butts. But they're getting a little more competitive. They're trying to take it to me every year, and I feel like they get younger every year too. So the thing that's been really cool that I want to do in the future, we have such a great relationship with our softball program that several of our athletes have gone on to marry their athletes. And so I want to piggyback with softball and do an alumni baseball softball event in the future. And that's just kind of where things are going. So a little bit about me. I've been here 8 seasons, 5th year as a head coach. I've been here for all the best seasons in program history. This summer, I got the opportunity of a lifetime to coach minor league baseball, which, here in Northern Colorado, which was, a really good experience for me. And also, just a way of showing me that, hey, our athletes can keep up at that level as well. And so any opportunities I'm able to provide them at that level is, obviously something that I would love to be able to do. So any questions, I'm happy to get to you.
I do see a question in the chat from George Wayne. George, do you have a question for Coach Bales?
Yeah, Coach Bells, this is George Wayne. I never played baseball, basketball player of mine, but Jim Darden was my basketball coach, coincidentally. You know, obviously Jim Darden Field being the baseball field. But I was curious, when you being at altitude, is that an advantage? I mean, do we get a lot of home runs hit at our field, or versus, you know, when you're playing at sea level, like when you're going to Cal Poly and things like that? Where would you, I guess you prefer to play home, but is there an advantage?
Yes, without question, George. We the Cal Poly Pomona's coach, and you know, again, Rod was down there watching the series, mentioned to me when we left, like, hey, if we would have played that game in Golden, you guys might have won 3 games in that series. And you know, because our, you know, the way we teach hitting here is elevate the ball, get the ball in the air and let it travel. And like you mentioned there at sea level, it just doesn't take off the same way it did. And so we had to get creative with some hit and runs and bunt. And we're fortunate enough to have the skill set and the team speed to be able to do that. And we knew that going in. We kind of knew what that park would hold. But yeah, to answer your question, right before COVID hit, we were leading the country in home runs. And last season we led the country in doubles. So it's definitely plays a lot more offensive in Colorado. We teach it that way, but at the same time, we want to be able to go in and compete with the 11th ranked team in the country at their place. And I think we proved we can do that by, you know, having a full tool bag, so to speak, you know what I mean? Having some team speed, having some guys that can handle the bat. And if you look at the lineup as the series went on, that was kind of us playing to the park a little bit. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Is that, and then lastly, is that a recruiting advantage? In other words, you get those Albert Pujoses that are interesting coming to mind?
Yes, it is. I mean, we would like to recruit them that way. And part of my approach when I took over was to get into California in particular, right? They love engineering in Texas. We have no problem recruiting Texas, but we also understand that the California baseball player plays a different brand of baseball. And in order for us to get over that hump and be able to get to the World Series one day, we better be able to win the game in a lot of different ways.
Mm-hmm. I think I would also chime in and ask, you know, playing baseball in Colorado has its disadvantages too, because when you're playing teams from California and Texas, where the weather is warm mostly, right? They're able to play more days because of the climate. Here, we got snow on the ground half the year, not half the year, but a lot of times. And so you can't get out there and play as much, right? So I'm sure that poses a challenge when you're competing against teams who are in warmer climes.
Well, George mentioned that he played for Jim Darden, and I'll tell you, Jim Darden will be the first guy to meet me in heaven to thank me for taking care of that field that has his name on it, because I'm on the tractor plowing snow this time of year constantly. You know, and you know, like I mentioned, we open up at Cal Poly Pomona. We had only been outside for one day, and you run into a guy who's going to be pitching in professional baseball one day. And so again, it was, you know, the way that our guys kind of played catch up. And I was impressed with, and again, I think that series in particular could have gone the other way. But yeah, you know, I remember my first year on the job, and in the fall, you know, the NCAA gives us 45 days to get our practices in, right? Once you declare your practice season, you have to get started. And so we always start kind of right after Labor Day, and that has us finishing up right about Halloween time. Well, I think in October, I called San Angelo, Texas, to just kind of follow up on a few questions. And he was telling me that it was their first day of practice, and we had 2 weeks left to go, right? Because he can declare his 45 days that takes him right up to Thanksgiving break if he wants, because he knows what kind of weather he's going to get. And so it's challenging, but you know, David Hansberg, our AD, always reminds me that we have 300 days of sunshine here. And so we just got to make sure that, you know, in the other 62 that, you know, we put a beanie on and get on the tractor and get the snow off for our guys to play. So, yeah, it definitely is a different challenge. And a lot of the other teams around here have gone to turf. That's something that we would like to do eventually. And we do have a capital management project that I mentioned to Rod last week too, in terms of getting our own space, right? We've kind of outgrown Steinhauer, where we're sharing with track and field and cross country and softball. And so for us in softball to get that capital management project going and get some fundraising going to get that off the ground, to have our own locker room to change in and have our own facilities to hit in and things like that is a big part of the future and where we're going, moving forward.
That's awesome.
Just one comment to add on to what Coach Bill said. My cousin made a comment because out there in at the Cal Poly game, it was cold and the wind was blowing. And he talked about how watch these home run hits, anywhere else would be a home run. He said there's more hits that die in the outfield at Cal Poly than anywhere else. And I think that was true. And that first game, when you were going against a guy, they're ranked 11th in the country,
yeah,
and you had to a 1-0 game, and you only lost by the 1 run. I mean, it was a pretty awesome showing by Mines.
Thank you, Rod. I appreciate that. I agree. Our kids really battled from start to finish.
Yeah. Coach, I see a comment in the question from Steve James. Steve, do you want to unmute and ask your question about rule changes?
Sure, real quick. First of all, thanks for the nice words about Coach Darden.
Absolutely.
And the second is I've read a lot and know about the number of rule changes in D1 ball this year. But to be quite honest, I don't know if they apply to your division as well.
Sure. Yeah, there a lot of the rules have been changed and are the same. Obviously, we don't have the ability to go to instant replay like your bigger Power 5 conferences do. Although when we were, again, that year we went down to Angelo, Texas, they were like a test school, a D2 test school for the NCAA. And instant replay saved us a game, right? Because the hometown umpires, they try to hometown you. So that was the case last weekend, and that was the case 3 years ago. So that was fortunate that we were able to have that. But, part of the emphasis at every level, right, major league level on down, is speeding the game up, right? We don't have the attention span for 4-hour games anymore. When the Yankees and Red Sox get together, you better have your schedule free up for the day, right? Because it's just such a chess match. And I think the baseball traditionalists like myself and my assistant coaches, we appreciate that. Right. But not when it's cold out there. We want to speed the game up, too. So the 20-second clock is one that is starting to take place, and that's kept by the third base umpire right now. And that's basically just a verbal cue to, hey, you need to speed it up and get rid of it. You get a warning. And if you advance past the 20-second clock after a warning, then a ball is rewarded to the hitter. That's happening. The other thing that seems to be happening is pitchers like to step off and reset and fake pick to bases. And those are things that also slow the game down. And so they're paying attention to that. So, if you do a fake pick to second base, the umpire is going to tell you, hey, that's one. And now you don't get another. Right. And so, you'd have to throw it in that circumstance. I don't know that a lot of these rules are actually speeding things up. I think coaches find loopholes in it and things like that. But, the minor league baseball this summer, they experienced with the 20-second clock, and it was where you can actually see it, right? Like a shot clock in basketball rather than an umpire keeping it in his pocket. And I'm for it, right? I thought it sped the game up quite a bit, kept things going. And in particular, that organization that was experimenting with it, they had their games down to, their owner was really proud of the fact that he had his games down to about an hour, 43 minutes for a 9-inning game, right? And so I think they're onto something there in terms of trying to speed the game up. And if us baseball traditionalists was kind of get out of the way, I think they'd be able to do that. The other thing that they're playing with is a California tiebreaker, where if you go into extra innings rather than starting, with an 0-0 count, no runners on, nobody out, they're starting with a guy on second base. And now it becomes, the chess match that happens between coaches. Do you choose to bunt them over, or do you choose to give 3 hitters an opportunity to drive them in? And a lot of that depends on if you're the home team or the visiting team. So to answer your question, yeah, there are quite a bit of rule changes. I don't know that it's to the extent that that D1 is. But one of the things that we're really experiment with in our program this year is the coach to catcher communication. So just like an NFL guy who's, you know, calling offensive plays in the booth, our pitching coach now has interaction in his ear to be able to talk straight to the catcher to get signs in quicker and determine when we pick and things like that.
Very cool. Okay. Sabina's got a comment as well. I know her son is playing on the team, playing club baseball right now as a freshman, which is awesome. We are getting a little short on time, but if any of the coaches want to maybe touch base about the club programs related, you know, I don't know if all of you are involved in those or not, or if they feed into the varsity programs in some way. Do you guys want to comment on that? Any of you?
We don't really have much with club other than we share some of our stuff and costs and stuff. They have a lot of the same, need some of the same equipment and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and there's some opportunities occasionally when either, you know, a kid isn't meeting expectations for us or just maybe wants to step back themselves. That's occasionally they'll join the club program.
Yeah.
And they use our field.
Sure. Good to know.
Kind of similar with swimming. There isn't a club swimming program mainly because there isn't enough pool time or space. So we only have 8 lanes. So for our team, we have 2 practices for every practice to fit the team in. And so it fits great a women's team or a men's team, but we have both. And so we take up a good amount of time. And then there's club water polo, which is really popular. And there's club triathlon, which is also very popular. But those groups have to swim from like 8:30 to 10 p.m. It's just,
Yeah.
if they didn't take classes, it would solve that.
Okay. Does anyone have any other comments or questions for the good of the order before we start to close out? Anybody? Okay. Well, with that,
I'd just like to shout out a couple guys here that,
sure.
you know, that's really been close to our program, and George Wayne has, and Rod McNeil and Roger and Connie Knight. You know, they've been really supportive of our program over the years, and it's really helped our program with our nutrition, and you know, and I think with the resurgence of athletics and how everyone's doing, you know, the alumni are so important to us and all our programs, and you know, we really, I know our coaches here, we really depend on our alumni for their support, you know, to make our program special. And you know, those 3 on this program, and Dan Witkowski, he's, you know, he was one of the first guys I met when I came to Mines as well. So you know, those people are special to our program, and thank you again for supporting Mines and Mines athletics.
Yay.
Thank you.
That's great. That's great. Well, thank you again for spending your lunch with us. We'll start to wrap it up. Before we say goodbye, though, I want to make sure everybody knows about next month's program. Thursday, March 16th, 12 to 1, as always. We're going to be hearing from Dean Nusma with our capstone program. Those of you who may not know what that means, it's formerly the senior design program. And that's an exciting time of year because graduating seniors are getting ready for this big event. It will happen in April. So Dean can give us sort of the scoop on that and what kinds of projects we might be seeing. We have a lot of alumni who come out to Capstone in April to serve as judges, reviewing the student projects. And I believe their reviews and their comments are very much a part of the grade that they receive for their project. So that's a really fun way for alumni to engage. And I would encourage anyone who lives local who might like to learn more about that to reach out to our office and we can get you connected with that volunteer opportunity. Andy Flynn, any last words from the alumni engagement team and the good of the order?
Yeah, well, thank you again, coaches, for being here. And certainly if people want to get out to a game and support them, you can find the schedules on the athletics webpage through the minds.edu website. So I encourage you all to get out and support the teams. They love having a packed crowd if they can. But we're very proud of what our athletic teams have accomplished. We know the challenge the students have to both be a student athlete here at Minds. Tremendous challenge, but extremely rewarding. So thank you all for participating today, and we look forward to having you back next month. And with that, go Orediggers.